You know, the latest is that we're hearing Russian President Vladimir Putin is calling on Ukraine's forces to lay down their weapons.
Not only lay down their weapons, but overthrow the government. Some of the most extraordinary, inflammatory language you would ever hear from a world leader came from Vladimir Putin today. He said, "I once again appeal to the military personnel of the armed forces of Ukraine. Do not allow neo-Nazis and ultra-nationalists to use your children, wives and elders as human shields. Take power into your own hands," he said. "It will be easier for us to reach an agreement with you rather than this gang of drug addicts and neo-Nazis who sat in Kiev and took all the Ukrainian people hostage." Now, I'll just remind ABC viewers that the leader of this so-called gang of neo-Nazis was meant to be President Zelensky, who is Jewish, who lost 3 members of his family in the Holocaust. So I'm not sure how that quite adds up. Once again, Vladimir Putin said that the Ukrainian leadership had been engaged in genocide in Donbass, a claim he made when he launched this invasion of Ukraine, a claim that he has never backed up with evidence because there is not evidence of genocide in that region. Genocide is a very specific term that applies to certain incidents in history. You know, the Holocaust, what happened in Rwanda, what happened in Srebrenica. There is not the evidence to back up what President Putin says about what's been going on in Donbass. Now, Western defense officials are very, very concerned that this kind of rhetoric backs up what they think is about to happen, or that they think Russia is about to attempt. And that is to what the term that came out of one US defense official's mouth was to decapitate the government. So using this kind of rhetoric to almost dehumanize the Ukrainian government before they go in and take that Ukrainian government out. They're the concerns from Western defense officials. Now, after saying all that today, Vladimir Putin called on the Ukrainian president to have talks with him, organized by the Belarus leader, the dictator who's been in power there for over 2 decades now, Lukashenko, a dictator who, of course, opened up his country to allow 30,000 Russian troops in, who then proceeded to invade Ukraine from another country. So that's the latest from Vladimir Putin in the last probably 6 hours now.
At the same time, there have been significant protests in Russia against this invasion. We know there is no official opposition in Russia, but these protests in Russia, are they spreading? Obviously, there are people who are not happy about this particular war in Russia.
It's very hard to monitor the protests. There is an independent monitor service that suggested around 24 hours ago over 1,800 protesters were arrested and detained, some beaten up. Certainly we're seeing some protests on social media as well. And interestingly enough, from sports stars, from athletes, from musicians, even from, in one case, the daughter of a Russian oligarch. Now, the Russian tennis player Andrei Rublev, after he won his semi-final to get into the final in Dubai, wrote on the camera, you often see them sign it, their name on the camera once they win, but he signed "No war, please." We've seen other comments come from other popular culture figures in Russia. Also, the hashtag "No to War" has been trending on Russian language social media, including these Russian celebrities. So I think this is worth watching. What happens in Russia, both on the streets, through social media. We expect even more of a crackdown from President Putin against dissent at a time when he is trying to prosecute a war. And we've seen that in the last couple of years, particularly against Alexei Navalny, the opposition leader who is currently in jail and whose supporters had been arrested and in some cases charged under this foreign agent legislation. And you know, the implication was that they were foreign agents or terrorists. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the coming days and weeks when it comes to Russian feeling about this war, particularly if body bags, as they inevitably will, come back to Russia, and perhaps the relatives of those family members who've died in this invasion may start expressing how they feel about this war.
Indeed. Steve Kinane there reporting for us in London. Thank you.